Okay, so this, guys, you need to know by heart. You need to know how to get from rectangular to polar and how to get from polar to rectangular, algebraically. Like I said, you guys will be given a unit circle. So these are the type questions that you're going to see. Yes, the quiz might be like 4 or 5 pages long, but it's because each question is like this big. Just so you guys have plenty of room to have the unit circle. I put it on the quiz itself, and also so you have the polar coordinate, so it's easy for me to see when you guys graph it. So let's talk about what this polar coordinate is. What is the first value here, that -1? What is that? That's your R. That's how far away you're going to go from the center, right? How many steps, how many spaces out. And then the second piece is your theta. So how do we plot polar coordinates? First thing we do is find where this is. And then if it was a positive number, you move that many spaces towards the angle. If it's a negative number, you move that many spaces where? Away. So if I have to plot -1, 5 pi over 4, the first thing I'm going to do is go to 5 pi over 4. Does everybody see it? I'm going to highlight it right here. Here's 5 pi over 4. And it says you're going to go how many spaces from the center? -1. So from my center, I'm going to move 1 space away from 5 pi over 4. Everybody see that? If it was a positive 2, you would go from the center and go where? Towards the 5 pi over 4. All right, perfect. So now we're going to find the rectangular coordinate. Well, how do we do that? I'm going to go back up to my point here. To find my rectangular coordinate, I'm in polar, so I need to go to rectangular. What do I do? X equals R times the cosine of theta, good, and Y equals R times the sine of theta. That should be really easy for us to remember because we're talking about things that are on the unit circle. So remember, if you have an ordered pair on the unit circle, the X value is the what? The cosine, and the Y value is the sine. So it goes together in the formula. So what is the ordered pair, ladies and gents, at 5 pi over 4? Look on your unit circle. What's the ordered pair? Negative square root of 2 over 2, comma, negative square root of 2 over 2. Good. So this is a really easy question, but there's lots of places to make silly mistakes. So just like we did this back in chapter 4, I would write above my X value, I'd write cosine, and above the Y, I'd write sine. In this case, they're both the same, so if you messed it up, you'd get lucky. But just to remind yourself which point is which. So in order to find my rectangular coordinates, I have R, which is -1, times the cosine, which is negative root 2 over 2. And then to find the Y part, I take R, which is -1, times the sine, which is negative root 2 over 2. So if I have the square root of 2 over 2, that's negative, and I times it by -1, what's that answer? Yep. So my point is at square root of 2 over 2, comma, square root of 2 over 2. And that's it. You have 4 questions like that on the quiz, where you have to plot the point and then convert from one to the other. Now, what do we need to remember? If the angle is negative, what is that telling you? Do we start at 0 and go the normal way around? No, it means just the opposite direction. So for a question like number 2, all right, tell yourself, this is my R, this is my theta. So if I'm going to plot this point, I go to where? What angle? 2 pi over 3. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and highlight it so I can see it. It's right here. 2 pi over 3. And then from the center, which direction am I going 2 spaces? To where? Towards the 2 pi over 3. So I'm going to just zoom in a little bit so I can see. So I'm right here at the center. I'm going to go 1, 2, and put my point right there. If it was a -2, I would go in which direction? Away. Perfect. So now if we're going to go ahead and convert, what is the ordered pair, ladies and gents, at 2 pi over 3? You tell me. -1/2 and square root of 3 over 2. Okay, again, the first one is my cosine, the second one is my sine. You guys are going to have the unit circle printed on the front of your quiz. So let's find the X and the Y. So X equals R times the cosine of theta. And and y equals r times the sine of theta. In both cases, what is your r value, guys? 2, okay. So 2. The cosine is my x value, so times negative 1/2. And the sine is my y value, so positive root 3 over 2. So when you multiply 2 times negative 1/2, what do you get? Negative 1, good. And when you multiply 2 times root 3 over 2, what do you get? Think about it. 2 over 1 times the square root of 3 over 2. What happens to the 2's? They cancel. So what's your answer here? Just the square root of 3. So write that as an ordered pair. If you're converting to an xy rectangular point, it's the x value, so negative 1, comma, the y value, square root of 3. Questions? Everybody okay? All right, scoot down. This one's a little bit different. How come this is a little bit different? What do you notice about your theta? It's negative, okay? There's a couple ways you could do this. I personally like to find the positive. Sure. To which part? Like right there? All right, let's go to the next one. Look, negative 7 pi over 6, guys. We've done stuff like this back in chapter 4. If I want to find where negative 7 pi over 6 is, well, first you find where the positive one is. How many spaces away from 0 is 7 pi over 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, correct? So negative 7 pi over 6, I'm going to start right here and go what direction? 9 the other way, 9 down. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So negative 7 pi over 6 is the same as what? Positive, what? I just circled it. 5 pi over 6. So this is the angle that we're actually looking at. Negative 7 pi over 6 is the same as positive 5 pi over 6. So that's where we're looking at. We found where we're looking at. Now, what direction is negative 1? If I'm looking at negative 7 pi over 6, which is also the same as positive 5 pi over 6, it's telling me I want to go negative 1. So from the center, which direction do I go? How many spaces? Do I go towards the angle or away from? I'm going to go away from. So my point is right here. Questions? Once you identify where the positive one, guys, it's the exact same thing over and over again. Okay, so I counted here. 7 pi over 6. The positive one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 spaces away from 0, right? But they don't want me to go to positive 7 pi over 6. They want me to go to negative. So I started at 0 and I went 9 the opposite direction. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's right there. Same the way we did it back in chapter 4 with finding negative angles. So now, guys, we're going to do the conversions. What is the ordered pair at negative 7 pi over 6? God bless you, which is also positive 5 pi over 6. What's the ordered pair? Okay, negative square root of 3 over 2, comma what? 1/2, right? So this is my cosine, this is my sine. So my x coordinate is going to be r times the cosine of theta, and my y is going to be r times the sine of theta. And those are formulas you guys need to know tomorrow. X goes with cosine, y goes with sine. So I have negative 1, negative 1 times negative square root of 3 over 2. What does that give you? Positive, perfect, square root of 3 over 2. Then negative 1 times 1/2 gives you? Negative 1/2. So write your coordinate as an ordered pair. What goes first? The x. So square root of 3 over 2, comma, negative 1/2. All right, scooting along, scooting along. So there's 4 of those tomorrow on your quiz. 4 where you're going to have to plot the point and then convert it to rectangular. Here, we're starting off in rectangular, and what do they want us to go to? Polar, okay? This is a little bit different, the way that we do this. There's two things you have to do, and then I'll explain to you a surefire way to make sure you got your right answer. What are the two little formulas or whatever that you guys had? Gave you at the beginning of this, but... Okay, so you have tangent of theta is what? What's tangent? Whatever what? Okay, y over x, good. Okay, r squared equals x squared plus what? Y squared, all right? Because when you have your polar, you need to have your r value first, which is how many spaces away from the center you are, and then the angle that you're talking about. So the tangent tells us what the angle is we're talking about. If I take the point that I'm given and put y over x, negative 8 over 0, what does that give me? Undefined. Okay, you guys are like, huh? Well, what that's saying is where on the unit circle, when I take the y value and put it over the x, is my tangent going to be undefined? Where is that? Pi over 2 or what? Okay, it's here at pi over 2, and it's here at 3 pi over 2. How do you guys know which one to pick? Tell me. Okay, perfect. If I were to plot this rectangular point of 0, negative 8, where is it? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's here, right? So when you graph your rectangular point, you'll always be able to take the tangent and find two places on the unit circle that'll work. Then when you think about graphically where that point is, you'll be able to pick the correct angle measure. So what angle measure are they talking about? Pi over 2 or 3 pi over 2? 3 pi over 2. Okay, so you know your angle is 3 pi over 2. Now how do you find your r? How do you find your radius? Well, you just take those points, you square them and add them together. So you have 0 squared plus negative 8 squared. So r squared equals 64. What's r equal? There you go. So when we just converted from rectangular to polar, that's what we got right there. So take the point that they give you. I do the tangent, put the y over the x, and figure out where on the unit circle that would be. And then you just use the Pythagorean theorem. Okay. All right, look at the next one. 2 square root of 3 and negative 2. Well, let's do the tangent. Tangent is what over what? Y over x, okay. So the y is negative 2 over x is 2 square root of 3. All right, let's simplify here. What can we simplify? Well, you don't have to multiply yet. What can I simplify on top and bottom? The 2's, right? So I have negative 1 over the square root of 3. Am I allowed to have that? No, so I'm going to do what? Rationalize, right? So this is, I'm looking for on the unit circle where the tangent of theta is negative square root of 3 over 3. All right, so just think about this for a second, guys. Go back to our trig stuff. I have my unit circle up here. Where is tangent? Whoops, I meant to erase. That's not what I meant to do. All right, back to our unit circle. Where is tangent negative? Which quadrants? All students take calculus. Where is tangent negative? Tangent's positive in 1 and 3. So where's tangent? Negative. 2 and 4. Okay, so you know you're in one of those two quadrants. I'm either going to be in 2 or 4. I also can tell where I'm going to be because let's plot this point. Do you guys know exactly where 2 times the square root of 3 is? No, but if on the x-axis, is it bigger than 0 or smaller than 0? It's bigger than 0. And then negative 2 would be down. So your point is in what quadrant? You know it's in the 4th quadrant. All right, that's good to know. It's good, kind of know placement. So you know you're looking for an ordered pair over here that when I put the y over the x, I get square root of 3 over 3. There's really only two options. Could it be 7 pi over 4? No. Why? What happens when you put that over itself? You just get -1. Okay, so which ordered pair, guys? If you don't know, let's go ahead and try. I'm going to go ahead and take 11 pi over 6. If I take -1/2 and divide it by the square root of 3 over 2. How do we do this? We keep change flip. So -1/2 times 2 over the square root of 3. What happens to my 2's? They cancel. Then I'm left with -1 over the square root of 3. And then I rationalize. So -3 over, did I guess correctly? I surely did. So where is the angle that we're talking about here for this one? 11 pi over 6. Perfect. So I know that when I convert, I'm going to find my r here in a second, but the angle that I'm talking about is 11 pi over 6. And then how do we find the r value? All right, let's go back to just some basic algebra here so we don't make any silly mistakes. How do you find your r value? Okay, r squared is x squared, so it's 2 square root of 3 squared plus -2 squared. Guys, when you are squaring 2 square roots of 3, where does that 2 go to? To both. Very good. So it's 2 squared times the square root of 3 times the square root of 3, which is 3, plus -2 squared is 4, right? So 2 squared is 4. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 plus 4 is 16. So if r squared is 16, what is your r value? Yep. So your r value here is 4. Say you came out with the r value like the square root of 12. Would you leave it as the square root of 12? Square root of 12, would we leave that? No, you can break it down. Always, always, always simplify, guys. That might happen tomorrow. I have absolutely no idea. All right, last one. Let's talk about the last one, then we're done. What quadrant am I in if I go -3, -3? Good, you're in the third quadrant. Alrighty, we have it in our mind. Oh, okay. Bottom left quadrant is what I'm looking at. That's what I'm thinking of. So let's first find the angle we're talking about. The tangent is -3 over -3. So I'm looking for something in the third quadrant that gives me a tangent of what? 1. You guys should all be able to tell me what that is if you look at a unit circle. What ordered pair in the third quadrant, when you put the y over the x, gives you +1? What is it? But, okay, so what's the angle though? 5 pi over? All right, 5 pi over 4. Because what is the ordered pair there? Negative square root of 2 over 2 and negative square root of 2 over 2. Good. So let's talk about our r value. R squared equals x squared plus y squared. So -3 squared plus -3 squared. 9 plus 9 is 18. Whoa, not sure what just happened there. So my answer, my r value is the square root of 18. Guys, would you leave it like that and get full credit? No. What can you break 18 into? Right, 9 times 2, so this would be 3 square root of 2. So this would be 3 square root of 2, comma, 5 pi over 4. And that's it. That is the whole quiz right there. Very, very basic. There's a lot of this, especially down here at the bottom, finding the tangents and then finding the angle and stuff like that. It takes a minute. I understand that. But it's very, very, very straightforward. You guys okay? All right.